Hey, what it do, Sports World? Welcome to the Real Untouchable Podcast with me, Ray Diggs. Hey, I got a great segment for you all. I want to talk about Alabama, the Tide. All right. The number 13 team in the nation. Yes, you heard that right. The number 13 team in the nation. As you all know, the Alabama Crimson Tide defeated the number 15 Ole Miss Rebels 24 to 10. This right here is the post-game report. And I'm going to tell you all why I think this Alabama team is more dangerous than people is really looking at them as. All right. This is a very dangerous team. And I'm going to tell you all why. But hey, before I get started, thank you all again for tuning in to the segment. Also, make sure y'all hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the share button. And just leave me a comment on what you all think about this segment. And I'm going to continue to bring you all the great content. All right. Because you all know how I do. This right here is time. It's college football time. But as you all know, like I said, the Alabama Crimson Tide defeated the Ole Miss Rebels 24 to 10. And guess what? This game right here really surprised me because this right here was the best that I've seen Alabama defense play in a very long time. And Jalen Miro, as you know, he was the starting quarterback. He was 17 for 21. Not a bad game. 225 yards, one touchdown, one interception. The one interception that he did throw, it was a terrible interception. I don't even know what he was seeing on that play, but in the end, he still got the job done. Nick Saban, a hell of a coaching job. And like I was telling people all week, people was telling me, hey, I got Ole Miss winning. I said, man, listen, one thing about Nick Saban is he have Lane Kiffin's number. And it pretty much showed today on that defense. But I got to give the biggest shout out to that defense. Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell. All right. Chris Braswell, both of them had let's see, Dallas Turner had 2 sacks. Chris Braswell had 1.5 sacks, combined for almost 4 sacks, and they was pretty much dominant. Arnold had a hell of a game. The kid had 8 tackles. He had 2 pass breakup, and he also had 1 interception. Kool-Aid McKinstry also had a pretty good game, but it was the total defense. It was the defense as a whole that dominated this game right here. Not just one player. It was the defense as a whole. And the one thing that we had been waiting on the offensive line to finally come alive. They kind of, I guess they did come alive a little bit. They had 45 carries, 131 yards. 16 of those carries from Jalen Miro, which I do not like. I do not like Jalen Miro carry the ball that many times because you got so many good backs on this team. Why not give them the ball and let them carry it? But at the end, they had 131 yards rushing. And this right here was the time Burton had a pretty good game, 62 yards. Hale, as you all know, Hale is a freshman, man. He's a freshman, a hell of a young Jalen Hale. Hey, the kid gonna be a star. I'm telling y'all, when they can ever figure out how to get him the ball, he's gonna be a star. Now, the one player that I can't wait till they actually get involved is Isaiah Bond. I cannot wait till they get Isaiah Bond and Kendrick Law involved into this offense. But overall, it really not much to talk about with this game because it wasn't much offense. It was basically a lot of defense in this game. Ole Miss played a pretty good defensive game as well. Like, let's talk about Jason Dort. Jason Dort, he was 20 for 35, 244 yards and 1 interception. Hey, listen, he had a pretty good game. That one bad throw, but in the end, Judkins had 13 carries, 56 yards. That surprised me. Now, that was the one thing that surprised me more than anything about this game was Judkins being shut down by this Alabama defense. This Alabama defense took it personal after last week and against a game against Texas. I think they came into this game looking to make a statement, and this team really did come in and made a statement because you can tell the mentality of this team as they came into the game in the first half. They wanted to dominate. Yes, Jackson Dort, they got on the board first. So let's go. That's Jackson Dort and the team got on the board first. Well, actually, Alabama got on the board first with a field goal. Will Riker. Of course, y'all know this kid right here is automatic, 48-yard field goal. But then Ole Miss got on the board. Jason Dort, he took a 10-yard run. And this was one thing that I said during the week. I said that Alabama have to account for the running quarterback, because we know that Alabama have problems when it comes down to a running quarterback. They've always had problems with that. But when Jackson Dort got loose, I said, you know what? Damn, we might be in for a long one. But then Alabama, they set back. They made sure that they had a spy on him for the rest of the game. Now we'll say this right here. Well, I'll get to this at the end. But then Alabama finally got a field goal at the half. So it was basically 7-6 at the half. And then I don't know what Nick Saban told Jalen Milroe. I don't know what he told this offense. But when that offense came back out, Will Riker hit a field goal. Next thing you know, Jalen Howe, he got a 33-yard touchdown from Jalen Milroe. 2-point conversion is good. So now it's 17-7. Then Ole Miss get a field goal and it's 17-10. And then Jason McClellan. Jason McClellan has been playing, oh my God, this dude right here has been playing lights out football these last 3 weeks. And I'm going to tell y'all, I expect for Nick Saban to start putting the true freshman, Justice Hayes, into this game. I expect for him to start incorporating him into the game because I honestly feel that he can do better than some of these backs not named Jace McClellan. Roy Dale Williams, I don't know if he was injured today, but he really didn't give pretty much nothing. And that's why I think that incorporating the true freshman Justice Hayes, I think that right there would pretty much give Alabama something if they could incorporate, because he is one of those backs. He can run, he can catch, and that's what I think Alabama need with a quarterback like Jalen Milroe. They need a running back that can also roll out and get it, kind of how they had when Najee Harris was there. Najee Harris was a running back, but he was also a receiving back. He can come out the backfield, catch a pass, hurdle over somebody, and take it 50 yards for a touchdown. So that's what I expect for this Alabama team to do. And I expect for this defense to get better and better. Honestly. And Pete Golden, they was going against Pete Golden's defense. Pete Golden's defense they actually looked pretty good. I'm not going to say nothing about Toddy Hottie, Ole Miss Rebels. They actually had a pretty good game plan that they came in with. It was just Alabama. I think that they needed this game. It was in T-Town. So I think that I won't blame the defense for this game right here. I will blame the offense. I don't think the offense, with the type of offense that Ole Miss have, they walk off the bus with 30. They are a walking 30-point team. So for them to only score 10 points, that is kind of surprising, especially with an offensive-minded coach like Lane Kiffin. So I was really surprised when it came down to them only scoring 10 points. When I looked at the game and I said, man, they only got 10, and it was late in the third quarter. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised. But I know for a fact that this team is gonna get better and better as the weeks go by. This Alabama team, they're gonna get better and better. They're gonna continue. I think the defense is gonna be the lead. I think their defense can get them to the college football playoff. Now, next week, they travel to Ole Miss to face the Rebels. Now, I think they will win that game. And then after that, they go to Texas A&M. So that's going to be another hard game. But it's a very winnable game. I saw Texas A&M today, and they look okay as long as Max Johnson was in the game. But I say the Alabama defense can pretty much control them. I think that's going to be more of a defensive game as well. Now, then they have Arkansas. I think they'll beat Arkansas, and that's when the showdown comes against Tennessee at Alabama. The next 2 games will be at Alabama, then between Tennessee, against Tennessee and LSU. Now, those are going to be the games right there that pretty much decide the Alabama season. If they go and they win both of those games right there, I think the next 3 games, of course, they go to Kentucky. Kentucky is really playing good. Kentucky right now is 4-0, but that 4-0 is kind of different than a regular team 4-0. All right, I can't really say they playing against nobody, basically. So I would say, and when I look at who they played, honestly, they played Ball State, East Kentucky, Akron, and Vanderbilt today. So we'll finally get a chance to see how good this team really is come next week as they play against Florida. Then they play Georgia. Then they play Missouri and Tennessee. So these next 4 or 5 weeks, we'll actually see how good this Kentucky team is, which I think they can be an okay team, but I don't think they're going to be a team that's going to be able to match up against Alabama. And then, of course, the last 2 games is against Chattanooga and then Auburn. So this team right here, these next few games will tell me a lot about this Alabama team. Today was a must win. Actually, the rest of the season is basically a must win for this Alabama team. They cannot afford to lose another game, because you lose one game, you can get in the college football playoff. But if you lose two games, I just can't see you getting in the college football playoff with two losses. And that's being because you got the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and all of those teams. You got the Big Ten. They're gonna have two undefeated teams. They're gonna at least have two undefeated teams. Well, going into their last game, unless I see something in the next few weeks that I make me go and pick Penn State to beat Ohio State, which that could happen. But Michigan, I got a feeling Michigan is not. I don't like Michigan. They are like one of the worst number 2 teams I've ever seen. Every week they're beating bad teams 31-6, which they should be beating them 50-0 or 50-6. They're scoring only 30 points, and I don't think that's a good thing. All right, you know what I'm saying? So, but I will say this right here: these two teams, Ole Miss and Alabama, these are two really good teams. It won't surprise me if Ole Miss finish out with maybe 1 or 2 losses. But like I said, both of these teams are really, really good. It really surprised me that Ole Miss only scored 10 points today, but I can see that Alabama, they took it personal this week. Hearing all the former players and what they had to say, hey, the mentality of this defense is it's time for us to stop talking and start actually putting this work in. All right. And I think that's what the former players were saying to them. You know, the good thing they didn't take it personal, because I know how Nick Saban is. Nick Saban, you know, the GOAT. But I'm happy that Nick Saban is finally holding these players accountable. All right. Because I think that's what happened today. I think he held them accountable, and this team right here pretty much showed up and showed out. And, you know, and they're back in the win column. Last week, a lot of people was pretty much picking them to lose this week because of how the way they played down at South Florida. But I kept telling them, I said, listen, this team right here is basically a work in progress. They're like a work in progress, especially at the quarterback position. When you lose a Heisman Trophy candidate, a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, you have to be a work in progress, you know, at the quarterback position, because ain't nobody gonna be Bryce Young, and that's our problem. We thought people was gonna be Bryce Young when, of course, you can't. A lot of players ain't. We might never get another Bryce Young ever again. That's just being honest. But that's why I'm happy that Nick Saban was patient with Jalen Milroe, and he finally just allowed him to, you know, get back in there and get the hang of things. And I think Jalen Milroe is going to get better and better. That's just my opinion. I think the next week he could pick it up a little bit more. Maybe, you know when to throw it into coverage and not to take a sack in the most craziest time. Okay, like, oh my God, he'll take a sack and you'd be like, bro, just throw the ball away. You see what I'm saying? That's the things right there that Jalen Milroe have to work with. And honestly, I think that the more he play, the more he will get these things. He will definitely I think he'll start throwing the ball away, because Bryce Young, that's exactly what he did. And that's what I expect from Bryce. That's what I expect from Jalen Milroe. This Alabama team, they're a very dangerous team. They're going to be ready. I think they're going to come next week against a very hungry Mississippi State team. And I think that they are going to show Mississippi State what time it is. I think that this team right here is back. Like I said, the defensive MVP was Dallas Turner and Chris Broswell, also Arnold. And the offense, I'm going to give it to Jalen Milroe and also Jason McClellan. These two is going to have to lead this Alabama team if they're going to get to a SEC West championship, or, you know, the SEC championship, or even the college football playoff. But this team right here today put together the perfect defensive game, and I'm happy for them, and I'm glad. And like I said, the number 13 Alabama Crimson Tide defeats the number 15 Ole Miss Rebels down in Tuscaloosa today, 24-10. And this right here is just the beginning as they improve to 4-1 now. Now they would get ready to head down to, well, actually they're 3-1, as they would get ready to head down to Mississippi State down in Starksville this week to face the Mississippi State Bulldogs, in which I think this right here is going to be a really, really good game. But I also expect for Alabama to pretty much put a spanking on them this week. But hey, man, y'all tell me what y'all think about this segment. Tell me what y'all think about what Alabama is gonna, how Alabama will look next week. How you all feel Jalen Milroe played? Give him a grade or whatever you want to do. I give him a B. I give him maybe a C plus. All right, and the reason why is because of the one interception, the bad interception that he threw, and the couple of bad sacks that he threw. That is the reason why I would give him a C plus for his performance today. All right. But like I said, Nick Saban and this Alabama Crimson Tide team, they just got to find their identity on what they need for them to get to the next level, which is the SEC championship or the national championship, but college football playoff and the national championship. They have to get an identity on what Alabama is going to be come November, December timeframe. Hey, thank y'all again for listening to another great segment of the Real Untouchable Podcast with me, Ray Diggs. Hey, peace. And y'all have a great week. Have a great weekend. Actually, I will be bringing y'all another segment soon. All right. So, hey, thank you all, man. Peace.